TMax was one of our top sellers. Okay, TaylorMax was one of our most prolific TLA members. And long story short, he progressed through our leadership academy, got a chance to run not one, but 2 branch internships. And then upon finishing his collegiate career at FGCU, was able to really sell full-time in a CSP fashion. So earning a national scholarship multiple times, earning a tremendous income through college, and now has moved his career into the full Cutco sales professional spectrum. He's one of our most loved individuals in the Florida Caribbean and Florida Coast teams. He is one of the most looked at teachers and instructors of the high-powered selling Cutco game. And on a personal note, I can just tell you, I speak on behalf of Andrew and myself when I say, when someone says we need the best instruction, one of the first things we do is, well, hey, is TaylorMax available? Is TaylorMax free? I know TaylorMax is selling. Can TaylorMax come see us? One fun fact too, he lives with Andy Janti. Andy Janti is our just shy of, but soon to be $4 million #1 in Eastern region CSP leader. And I'll give you the short version. Are you going to talk about the, little switcheroo of the kidnaroo? You going to talk about that at all?
Sure. I wasn't planning on it, but.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, we talked about just the type of team that we have. A good friend Andy got diagnosed and had a failing kidney, and one of the first people to come in and say, hey, I got one for you, right? And I'm not doing the story justice, but one of the first people to say, hey, I got you, is TaylorMax, his roommate, by the way. And right now there's literally a piece of TaylorMax with Andy every single day. Andy, there it is, yep. And I got a chance to go see them right after the surgery, and you could just see, man, beyond the selling of the knives and beyond all the accolades, we really are a great team. And TaylorMax, your actions speak louder than words. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your kindness. And thank you for your CSP excellence as I turn things over to you for one of the most exciting messages, how to sell like a CSP. TaylorMax, you've got the floor, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. And thanks for that introduction there. The keynote up, and if you guys don't mind, you may have already done this, but on the top of your Zoom screen there should be a little drop down menu to change the view and do side-by-side view, so that way the presentation doesn't take up the whole screen. I'm off to the right. You can make my image a little bit bigger. That'd be great. Today we're going to talk about selling like a CSP, next level selling, and everybody can see the keynote. Can I get a thumbs up from somebody? Keynote's up, beautiful. So when it comes to selling, my goal with this talk, what I really want to do is dive in deeper to the 7 steps of the sale that we all know and have learned in training. And this is really the key to selling anything. And I'm going to give a couple examples throughout the process. We're going to focus on the first 5 steps: rapport, credibility, problem, solution, and sets, because that's really the demo. The price comparison and the close, that determines how much your customer is going to buy, but those first 5 steps determine whether or not they're going to buy. Same thing with referrals. How good your demo is going to determine whether or not you get referrals, and how you ask for referrals is just going to determine how many referrals you end up getting. And so we're going to dive into each of these, and my goal is not really to teach you how to do any of this, because a lot of this a lot of this is in your manual, but I want you to understand it at a deeper level. I'm sure you've all experienced at some point in your life when you knew something as a child or as a young adult, but you really came to understand it later. And when you have a deeper understanding of what you're doing, that really just takes your results through the roof and improves them quite a bit. So Steve Jobs, I'm going to highlight him a couple times here. I'm a big Apple fan. I have my iPhone. I got my brand new tablet here with the Apple Pencil. I'm talking to you guys on a MacBook. I love the Apple company, and I love their former leader, Steve Jobs. And this is a way I kind of conceptualize my business. I think of Cutco as Apple and me as Steve Jobs, because people love the Apple product, but they admire Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs could have left Apple, gone anywhere else. He would have taken a giant client base with him. And so think about your business in that way. Cutco's an incredible product, but your customers should love you. They should admire you. And when you can't think about Apple without thinking about Steve Jobs. And that's the relationship you should build with your customers. They can't think about Cutco without thinking about you. And they'll buy the Cutco product because it's amazing, but they'll support and buy from you because you're amazing and because you inspire and you really take that product to the next level.
Hey, Taylor Max, can I respectfully interrupt? We want to adjust the keynote. They can see your next slide coming, so I think it's a little distracting for them. I want to catch you by surprise.
Thank you.
So what I would say, if you hit a share screen,
How's that?
there you go. Perfect.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
And again, guys, if you haven't done so already, you can go up to the top right and make it so that you can see both TMax and the slideshows too. So it's easier to see both of them.
And can you let them know exactly how to do that, just to make sure? One quick run. I want them to get the most of this experience.
Yeah, I believe it's a view option. So right up on the top, it says you are viewing Taylor Max Ricart screen. Everyone, you're going to go to the little thing. It's got a little recording button. It says view options, and you're going to hit side-by-side mode. And you'll be able to see the keynote and TMax. That's the way to get the most out of it. It's kind of hard to see if you're just looking at one of them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
And let me say, besides this little technical snazu here, this is an awesome Zoom call. And those results from that push, ridiculous, guys. My first SC1, I think I sold like $1,200. First time I won a trophy, I sold like $4,000. So these numbers and these results, and Jeff, Andrew, I've never seen this energy on a Zoom call. Can we just do this like every day? This is awesome. I really, really love it. I've been on Zoom calls every day, all the time, like most of you. This has been the most exciting one I've had so far. So great job with this. And I'm really excited to see how this plays a bigger role in our business moving forward. Back to the message. So Steve Jobs, I encourage you guys to look this up, and I actually put this in my show notes at the end at the last slide here so you can take a look. This is an article that was written about the iPhone release when the first iPhone came out. And they highlighted the 8 lessons to learn from him, which are basically the 7 steps to the sale. And this is something you'll see no matter what you look at in the sales world. It's the same steps to get to the sale at the end. And it can be applied to pretty much anything that you do. And the way I like to think about these is like a checklist, right? Rapport, credibility, all of these boxes need to be checked throughout your presentation. How you check them, when you check them, doesn't matter quite as much. And different customers need different boxes focused on. They need different things in order to really get to the point of wanting to buy and wanting to buy big. And it's not always so clean as going through them step by step, one at a time. Sometimes you have to jump around. And this is why knowing your manual, having your base is so important. If you're at a point now when you're still reading through your manual and you don't know it inside and out, that's really the first step to mastery. Is you got to get those basics down so you can build on top of it. And once you do that, you can start to interweave these things. I can't tell you how many appointments I've had where the rapport didn't happen right away. And I'm sure you've all experienced this. You meet with a customer and you just struggle to connect up front, but you can find a way later on in the appointment to weave that back in and really get a much higher level of connection with your clients. Same thing with credibility, or any of these steps can be achieved at any part during the presentation. And I like to think about it as my tool chest, right? So in my tool chest, I have all these categories: rapport, which is one of the biggest and most important; credibility, problem, solution, comparing prices, closing. And inside of each of those drawers, I have a bunch of tools. I don't pull out all those tools for every customer. I could do a 10-hour demo talking about Cutco, features and benefits, names and uses. But what I know by building my tool chest and having a lot of things in each of those drawers, and with time and experience, I know which ones to pull out. I know when to say what to which customer to really connect. And as you build your tool chest, you get more tools in there, you'll be able to more efficiently and effectively connect with those customers. So the first one really is rapport. And this is one of my favorite customers, Charlene. Charlene's awesome. I met her in 2014. She bought a mini cheese knife and a Santoku cheese knife from me. But I had a really good connection with her. I was really built a good rapport with her. Over the years, even though she only bought about $150 from me, she's now purchased over $4,000 worth of Cutco from me. When I met her, she had a homemaker that she had inherited from her, I think her father, that was back from the 60s. So the credibility was there, right? I didn't have to spend a whole lot of time focusing on the credibility of the company and how awesome Cutco was, because she had that already. What she needed was extra rapport and connecting. And I was able to do that with her over time. And she's become one of my best customers. And just recently, about 2 weeks ago, she referred me to her son-in-law, who was looking for a gift for his wife. And I did a virtual appointment with them. And it was one of those where the rapport just didn't happen right away. I wasn't particularly excited about the appointment because he was a young guy who was in school, not currently working, not the best setup for a big sale. And I kind of prejudged him going into it. But throughout the process, I opened up the door to some bigger rapport. And I asked him, what'd you do before school, before you were in school now? And I found out that he was in the military. He was actually a Marine. And of course, I latched onto that, started talking about K-Bar. We got into this big conversation. And before that conversation, his excitement level was very low. He was buying Cutco because that's what Charlene said to do. He wasn't particularly excited about the product. He liked me fine, but what he needed was more credibility in the company. And the moment, because of rapport, I was able to connect that K-Bar to it. The whole energy on the appointment changed. And somebody that was looking to buy a couple knives that I thought wasn't the best prospect when I first met with them, through rapport, through discovering and asking the right questions, I was able to sell them a signature set with steak knives by the end of the appointment. And a big part of that was because I was able to connect the credibility that he needed through the rapport with the K-Bar. So don't be afraid to dive in deeper with your customers. Ask stronger questions, get into deeper conversations, because that'll only pay off in a really big way. Be memorable, do something different. With Charlene, a part of the reason I got that referral was after she bought that $150 from me. It was mango season. I have 3 mango trees in the backyard. She turns out to live about 5 minutes from me. So I saw potential in her when she bought that $150. And a couple of weeks later, I just dropped off with a bag of mangoes at her house with a little thank you card for her order. And that really set the catalyst. That was the catalyst for our relationship. And so far, she's generated well over $6,000 worth of CPO for me. And a big part of that was because I was memorable with the mangoes and I connected with her through rapport. And the last thing with rapport here is to practice. Practice is really big, and it's something that I made a focus in my life early on when I started working with Cutco to make sure to be the highlight of everybody's day. And you can do this on the phone with customer service. That's like one of my favorite things when I'm talking to a customer service person and I can find a way to make them smile, make them laugh, be memorable for them. They always give you better service. If I'm at Subways and I'm ordering a sub, I say, hey, make it extra delicious for me. And I smile. And it always makes them laugh. Be novel, be different, stand out. People love that, and it really triggers something in their brain to capture their attention. So don't be afraid to practice your rapport with anybody that you're talking to, with any interactions. Can you get better at connecting with people? And that's gonna only help you with your sales. Know your customers. This kind of falls into the rapport category. Here's a picture of Jenny and Jeff Stay, 2 of my favorite clients. And I met them during a really tough time in my career. I was struggling. It was probably my second, third year in the business. Some of my leads I felt like dried up. The leads I did have, I just wasn't excited about. They weren't the prime prospects. They weren't the max. And I really had to dig deep and kind of start from scratch. And I said, well, I'm not excited about the leads I have now. Let me go back to some of my best customers and see the leads that they refer me. Can I reconnect with some of those old leads and get back into the better circles? And so I reached out to one of my customers. I'm like, hey, you referred me to 15 people. They were great. I saw Susie. I saw Jeff. I saw Susie. I saw Kathy. Is there anybody else on the list that maybe I didn't connect with that might be worth me reaching out to again? And they're like, you never saw Jeff? Oh, you got to go see Jeff. I'm not that close to him, but he's awesome. He'll buy everything from me. He's a really good guy, and he has all the connections in the world. So I took the time, and I did my research on Jeff before I called him. Now, I want to say this with caution because you don't need to go spend an hour of research before you call any of your leads, right? That is not the point of this. But I knew with him that I had a whale. I had potential from what my customer told me. So I had a longer conversation with my customer about him. I got on Facebook. I added him as a friend. Turns out we had a couple other people in common, other friends in common, that he was actually closer to than the person that referred me to him. I found out about his business. He runs all the BNIs in South Florida, over 40 chapters. I found out what his wife did from Facebook as well. And that really allowed me to connect with him because it took me over a month of calling and reaching out before I was able to get in that house. But I knew it was worth it for that particular customer. And when I did, I was only able to see the wife. I had scheduled the appointment with both and Jeff wasn't there. And I was so frustrated. I did the whole appointment. They had a signature set. I sharpened the knives and she bought a wellness mat. Not very exciting. And I said, hey, I was really looking forward to meeting Jeff. I've heard so many good things. I know a couple people that we have in common. Is there any way I can come back and meet Jeff? And she's like, well, he got caught up at work today, but come by tonight. We have some friends coming over. So I went back to the house around 9:30, had some steak with him, a great connection. He ended up buying $4,000 from me that night after his wife had just bought a wellness mat. And over time, he's become one of my best customers. He's referred me a lot of business, and personally, he's bought over $10,000 from me. So how can you implement this into your business? Again, I'm not telling you to research every lead you get. It's not worth your time. I don't do that. What I do is before doing an appointment with a customer, I'll call the person that referred me to them. And I'll ask this very simple question. Hey, Susie, thanks so much. I'm really excited to go meet Jenny. I scheduled the appointment with her. She sounds awesome. And I'm also going to see Kathy and Jill that you referred me to. But I'm about to call Jenny now. We're in a Zoom. What's something like different, cool, unique, something that recently happened with Jenny that I can use to kind of connect with her so the beginning of the call is not that awkward? And sometimes I'll ask that when I get the lead up front, and I'll take that note when they first give me the referral. But sometimes it's after I've scheduled the appointment, I reach back out to that customer and just try to get a little bit more information about the person before I actually hop on Zoom or do a virtual appointment or go see them in person. So the more you know about that person, the better chances you're going to have. And that really information comes from the person that referred you to them. So before I go see the appointment, or go see the customer, I always make sure to reach out to the person that referred me to him so I can pick up a little more nuggets, a little bit more rapport to connect with that person better. And with Jeff in particular, what really got him excited, the reason he bought $4,000 from me that night was because I shared my goals. It turned out, he's a BNI guy. His job is to connect people. He has no problem building rapport or connecting with anybody. And what really made the difference for him was the way I shared my goals, the excitement that I had, the focus I had, the planning I had in my life. And we talked about my goals for quite a while. And at the time, they weren't that exciting, but you got to start somewhere. And if you're not sharing your goals with your customers every time, you're missing out on a lot of opportunity. Because what inspired him to buy $4,000 from me that night were the goals that I was focused on in my business and in my life. And again, this is an example of how every customer needs something a little bit different. They all fall into those 7 categories, and getting really good at those 7 categories of the sale is important, but knowing which ones to focus on with which customers, that comes with practice, with experience. Build your tool chest, and you'll get better at knowing which tools to use with which customers. And that's why you got to cover them all every time, because sometimes you don't know which ones they're going to be. So share your goals every time, and you'll make some great connections with your customers. The goal of rapport is to make them love and trust you. And until they have love and trust for you, you can't really have the big maximum amount of sale that you can get. Because the truth is, people will buy Cutco from you because it's Cutco. Anybody will spend $300, $400, $500, $600 because the product's great. But in order to build those larger average orders, in order to get a $2,000, $4,000, $6,000, $7,000 order, it really requires a deeper level of trust and respect between you and the customer. So I really encourage you guys to, before you get to the end of the sales process, before you close, have you checked that box? Have you connected with that customer? Did you share your goals well? Because if you haven't, that's something you got to focus on a little more before you start discussing price. Second step in the sale is credibility, selling your brand. And this is really big. Trust not only in you, but trust in the company. And one of the things that was surprising from that article with Steve Jobs was the way that he built credibility by referring to previous success. And the reason that jumped out to me is like, it's Apple. What do they have to show credibility about? Like, Apple, right? But regardless, it's super important to establish credibility. No matter what your customer feels about Cutco, if they have previous experience, whether their whole family has it or not, it's still important to really build up the company and build up the brand. And a great way to do that is through telling stories, through testimonials. What do you love about Cutco? People connect with stories, and the fact that your passion for the product should show during your presentation. So if you're not using it at home, use your product, be passionate, share other people's experiences. Of course, you're gonna say the product's awesome, that's your job. But sharing stories from their friends that referred you to them, sharing stories from your parents and family members that have used the product, that's a whole nother level of trust and credibility in the product that you can really be building with your clients. The guarantee. The guarantee is really why people buy Cutco. And this is something that I can't emphasize enough. It's like one of the most important parts of our brand, of our product. This is why people buy. Give examples of the guarantee. One of the examples I love to give a lot is just on the can opener. I'm like, Ms. Jones, something as silly as a can opener, you don't think about it much. You spend 20, 25 bucks on one at the store, use it for a few years, and then what happens? It goes bad, and you go spend another 20, 25 bucks on another one. And it's not something you put much energy or thought into. But imagine if you never had to buy another can opener again. And in 20, 30, 40 years, that can opener still worked the way that you worked when you got it. That's what we do with everything in our product line. The idea with Cutco is you buy it once and you have it forever. And by forever, I just don't mean your life. I mean the life of you and your kids and your grandkids. A lot of my customers are second or third generation Cutco owners, and the Cutco becomes like an heirloom product in the family that stays with them for generations to come. And so it's a really unique opportunity. And the goal of the guarantee, when you're sharing the guarantee, is to get them to be thinking long-term, because this isn't a purchase they're making for today. It's a purchase that they're going to be making for the next 20, 30, 40 years of their life. Tell stories, be passionate, give examples, and share the guarantee. Now, this next slide, this is a way for you to conceptualize the product. It's not necessarily something I would share with customers, although for some clients, especially if they're big Apple fans, they'll connect with this as well. But think about the ecosystem. Cutco has an ecosystem, just like the Apple ecosystem. Most of us started with an iPhone. That's how I started. And then I got the MacBook, and then I got the tablet, and now I have the Apple TV. And I go, and it didn't matter what the Apple TV did, right? It doesn't matter the specs, the gigabytes, the hard drive, the features don't matter. It was the fact that it was Apple, right? When I think technology, when I need a new piece of tech, the first place I go to Apple because of the brand, because of the leadership, because of Steve Jobs, and because of the product. And that is what we've created for Cutco. It's an ecosystem for the kitchen. Anything kitchen related, your customers should think about you first. A lot of them start with the knives, but we have the cookware, we have the flatware, we have the accessories. One of the key words I use with my customers is imagine never having to buy kitchen stuff again. Anything you need, any problems in the kitchen, you call me. You have one person that resolves it all for you. And a lot of customers start with the knives, but we also have the cookware and the flatware, which is excellent. When you bundle them together, you get a great deal, and it's all covered by the Forever Guarantee. Next step is creating a problem. And I'm not going to spend too long on this, but one of the questions that I think a lot of people miss when it comes to creating a problem is just asking the customers, what kind of knives do you have? This is one of those parts of your tool chest that you need to build yourself. Okay, this is one of those, I'm not going to give you a bunch of tools to put in here, but it is a focus you can have. Know your audience, learn your market, learn about the competitors and other brands of knives out there, so that when you meet customers with high-end, low-end stuff, you know the features and benefits and why Cutco is superior, and you can help explain that to your customers. So I would encourage you on all your appointments to be asking, hey, what kind of knives do you have? And really find those pain points, right? How do you feel about those knives? Doesn't it suck when it doesn't cut through? You ever cut yourself with the knife? Is it rusty? Can you dishwash it? And really creating pain around the products that they have at home. And that's typically going to happen when they have low quality, which is most people. But also being aware of high quality, right? And knowing if you're with somebody that has a higher quality product, and how does that relate to Cutco? Why is Cutco better? Why should they switch from their Henkels, their Wüsthof, their Schoen to the Cutco brand, and knowing that? And one of the big things for me, I mean, I've met so many people that have Wüsthof, Henkels, Schoen, and they buy Cutco. And why? Well, because they spent $2,000, $3,000 on their set of Wüsthof. It was awesome for 6 months, and then it was dull. And then they sharpen it, and it never gets back to that initial sharpness. And then the daughter drops it and breaks the tip, and now they're out $150 for that knife. And they make the investment, but they're constantly remaking the investment because the product doesn't last, because the company doesn't stand behind it. So imagine, Ms. Jones, yeah, you spent the money on your Wüsthof, and how are they performing now 3 years later? Probably not the way they were when they first started, right? And that's the beauty of Cutco, is I'm not going to promise you the knife's going to stay sharp forever, because that doesn't exist. But that's why I'm here, to offer that service. And the company's here to offer that service. Every 3, 4, 5 years, you can send those knives back, get them sharpened, they come back brand new. It's like having a new set of knives every time you get them serviced, and you'll never have to buy that product again. So understanding your market is big. Creating that problem, creating that pain point is really big. Offering the solution, features and benefits, power words. And I'm going to share another Steve Jobs bit here, but he focuses on benefits and not features. And this is big. You want to focus on the benefit of what the features do. No one cares about nickel silver or thermal resin, okay? That doesn't resonate with clients. They want to know what that does for them. What does that mean for the product? The Double D Edge, it's a cool name. None of them remember it. What they need to know is that that product is going to stay sharp, and that it's going to stay sharp for 7 to 10 years before they need to service it because of that amazing edge. So you focus on the benefits, not the features. And one of the things I love about Steve Jobs, one of the things I actually learned directly from watching a lot of his speaking is the power words, okay? Magic, phenomenal. And I have a list of power words here. By the way, this slideshow is going to be emailed out to you guys. So this will be like your handout. But if you want to take a screenshot of this, you can. Here are some of the power words that I throw into my demo all the time. Some of them you've heard me use already. 40, 50, 60 years. I say that probably 10 times during my presentation because I want them thinking long-term about the product. Imagine. And it's not just what you say, but it's how you say it. Listen to the tonality with that word. Imagine, Miss Jones, if your can opener just freaking worked every time you grabbed it, instead of you fighting and being frustrated with it. Imagine, Miss Jones, if when you grab that knife to cut through the tomato, it actually cut without blowing the tomato up. And it's like the early stages of ketchup, right? Forever. I use forever as an adjective. Miss Jones, we have our forever cutting boards, our forever peeler, our forever knife set, forever cookware. And I want them to know that it's forever. Spectacular, ridiculous. This is game changing, Miss Jones. Oh, here's one of my favorite ones. I use this a lot with the deal. Super crazy, awesome, killer, unreal, special. Miss Jones, I'm going to give you a super crazy, killer, unreal deal on anything you want to get today. And it makes them smile. It makes them laugh. It cuts like butter. It's unreal. It cuts the food for you. That's a fun one. I use that a lot on the peeler. Peeler's a great tool to close the order, get those extra referrals. I usually save the peeler for the end. And when I'm asking for those referrals, I'm trying to get them up to the next level of referrals. Miss Jones, thank you so much for those 10 recommendations. If you can get 5 more, 10 more, I'm going to give you the Cutco peeler. And this is actually a really big deal, Miss Jones. I know it looks in the picture like a regular peeler, but it's not. This thing is ridiculous. It peels forwards, backwards. The blade comes out for easy cleaning. It's got a little groove in it to take the eyes out of potatoes. But the coolest feature, you take a carrot, you put it on the cutting board, you take the peeler, you put it next to it, you walk out of the room, and when you come back, it peeled the carrot for you. Miss Jones, I'm just kidding, but it's really that awesome. And when you share it that way, they always laugh and they always love the peeler because you're different, you're unique, you're standing out. The extension of your hand, these knives are like an extension of your hand. I use that a lot on the Petite Santoku. It's a great feeling knife. It's light versus the Hardy Slicer is hefty. These strong adjectives are great, smooth, beautiful. Power words are huge to really get your point across, and they're excellent in the presentation. So this is kind of like the meat and potatoes here, selling sets. At this point, you created a problem. You connected with the customer, you report, they trust you, they love you, right? They trust the company, you've created credibility in the company. And then you created a problem. You showed them that what they have is not the best and there's opportunity for better. You created a solution, and the solution is Cutco. So if you've done it properly, they love you, they love the company, they realize that they have junk, and they realize that Cutco is the way to go. But now they have to figure out what. And that's where creating a specific need comes in, selling sets. And again, I encourage you to take a screenshot of the next slide. You'll get it emailed out to you as well. This is straight from the Dropping Bombs workshop that Jeff runs. It's the same thing I've been doing since I started. It really hasn't changed, but there's 3 keys to selling sets, especially selling the bigger ones. The first one is introducing the 3 sets properly. And I think that's really where the biggest gain is. It's so easy. And when you frame it properly, it really changes the customer's perspective before going into names and uses.
People look for the shortcut.
Sorry. And the second thing is selling the cutting board, the sharpener, and the block. And that's one of the underestimated parts of selling a set. That's so key. If they get excited about a cutting board, a sharpener, and a block, doesn't matter which set, they're thinking sets. And the last thing is finding their hot button tools, finding the hot button knives. I think a lot of times, especially new reps, don't understand that. People don't pick the sets based on the knives that come in them, right? People buy the signature set because it's the smallest set with the scissors and they want the scissors. People buy the complete set because they do a cajachina. If you're in South Florida, they do coconuts and they want the cleaver. They don't buy the complete set because of everything that comes in there. They buy it because it's the only one that comes with 12 steak knives, right? And conceptualizing this, like when someone goes to the store to buy a knife set, they don't expect anybody to explain the tools that come in the set. They look at the knives, they look at the price. That one looks like it'll fit in my kitchen well, I'll take that. And that's as simple as it can be. I can't tell you how many sales I've had that have just been quick 15 minutes, boom, ultimate set, signature set, homemaker set, without even going through the names and uses. I'm not recommending that. I go through my names and uses most of the time, but over the years, I've sold over $1 million worth of Cutco. I've run into every situation possible. And I've had plenty of sales that have happened in 15, 20 minutes and have been $1,000, $2,000 or more. And I share that so you understand, like, people don't need everything to buy, right? They just need the right thing. And that's why I'm covering these 7 steps, because you never know what that right thing is. Sharpening your tools and having all of that prepared is really what makes the difference. So let's talk about introducing those sets. This is the screen I usually would recommend from the virtual demo where you do this. I try to do this before I go into my names and uses, so they have the proper frame before they're looking at the pieces. Ms. Jones, the basic set, this is our small set of knives. It's for any kitchen. It's only 7 knives, 2 forks, and a spatula. Super key, right? 7 knives, 2 forks, and a spatula. It's nothing fancy or gourmet. It's just the essentials in the kitchen. Another extra line I throw in there is it has one of every type of tool. It has one of every type of tool. So you're covered for pretty much everything in the kitchen. It also comes with 8 table knives at the bottom, but you can always add a few more if you want to have a full setting of 12. And that's one of the things I do regularly. Even if I'm selling a homemaker or a smaller set, I'll sell a full setting of 12 table knives, because that's just kind of what you want in your kitchen, is a full set of the kitchen knives, a full set of the table knives. And then at the end, I throw in, this is Susie's set, this is Jill's set, this is Kathy's set. And I give examples of customers that own the set and the reason why. So, hey, this is actually the set that Joe bought. I don't know if you know Joe. Joe is actually Susie's neighbor. He's a big Marine military guy. He bought it because it's American made. He doesn't really cook that much, so he got the basic set. And giving these examples of third-party experiences, other people's experiences, helps customers connect. Typically, when you explain the 3 sets properly, that's when the customers kind of make their decision on to which set they're going to get. And you can always go bigger or smaller based on the pieces. There's extra things you can do along the way. But nailing this part is really huge. I found so many customers make their decision based off how I explain the 3 sets. It's way more powerful than the way you explain the individual tools in the set. So I always share, after I explain the set, I say, hey, this is Kathy's set, this is Jill's set, this is Susie from next door's set. And they bought this set because blank, because of this, because of that, because it's American made, because they just loved me and wanted to support me, because they needed a new knife and didn't want anything fancy. So that's our basic set. And then here's where it changes a little bit. Instead of going to the signature set, after I explain the basic set, I move to the complete set. And again, this is one of those where the music is more important than the words. So Ms. Jones is our basic set. It's nothing fancy or gourmet. 7 knives, 2 forks, and a spatula. It's Jill's set. It's Kathy's set. You know, they don't do a lot of cooking. They just wanted one of every type of tool. And then, and I pause just like that. And this, Ms. Jones, this is the complete set, the ultimate set. This is the best set that we make. It's for people who understand they're going to buy it once and have the right tool for the right job forever. Imagine never having to buy another knife again. Imagine, Ms. Jones, just never having to buy another knife again. No matter what the job is, whether you do it once a month, once a year, you're going to have the right tool for that job. And it's going to make your time in the kitchen quicker, easier, and honestly, just a lot funner. It's also the only set that comes with a full setting of 12 steak knives. So you're covered with that. They all fit in the block gorgeously. We can engrave your name on it at the bottom. We can put Susie's Kitchen. We can put Kathy a cut above. That's one of my favorite ones that I've been doing. And I actually have here a couple different samples of the engravings. With the complete set, the engraving is a big plus. And I love doing the engraving plate. It comes free with the ultimate set. It's $12 with the smaller sets. But you can put all sorts of fun stuff on there. And people get really excited about it. And it comes free with the complete set. So this is Jill's set. This is Anna's set. Kathy actually started with the smaller set and ended up going to the bigger set later because she really liked a couple of the tools. I'm going to show you some of the tools that come in there, but this one has some really fun knives in it. It's an awesome set. So I really build up the complete set and spend quite a bit of time talking about how awesome it is, who owns it, why they bought it. You know, Chris bought this set, and honestly, he doesn't cook that much. He just really liked the cleaver. It's like this big, like hatchet type tool that's in there, and he just cuts up everything with it. It's awesome, and that's why he got it. Jill loves to fish, and it's the only set that comes with the fillet knife in it. So it's a great tool for people that really love to cook and entertain. And then, Ms. Jones, we have our family set. This is for an average family. People who kind of have to cook and want to get in and out of the kitchen as quickly as possible. This is Jill's set. This is Susie's set. This is the smallest set that we make that includes the scissors, and that's a big line. But I don't spend too long on the signature set. It's just kind of the in-between set. And a lot of people will naturally gravitate to the medium size. It's just very natural when you have the small set, They're like, yeah, that's cool. The big set, oh, that's too much. Oh, the medium set could be really nice. And that's why I present it in that order, small, large, and then medium at the end. One of the interesting things to know, and not necessarily to share with your customers, although sometimes there's value there, the signature set was actually created by our customers. Because we had so many customers buying the basic set, adding the scissors, petite santoku, hardy slicer, we just made a block that accommodated it. And it was really a set designed by customers. We literally had customers writing into the factory that they had the basic set, they had added these tools, and they wanted a block to store it all together, but the complete set was a little too big. And that's where the family set came around. It's our newest set. It came out in 2011, and it's incredibly popular. And that's part of why I don't sell it as much when I'm presenting the 3, because it's just kind of like the natural choice. And so I want to make sure they're comfortable with the basic, they're excited about the complete, and if the budget comes in, we can always go to the medium set. It's a good drop down from the complete set. It's a good upsell from the basic set. So introducing the 3 sets is super crucial. Cutting board, sharpener, and block. This is big. Ms. Jones, if you're gonna make the investment in Cutco, when you make the investment in Cutco, there's 3 things you have to do. Whether you're buying a couple tools, a set, a big set, it doesn't matter. You need to have somewhere to store it. Because here's what happens, Ms. Jones. I've had this happen with so many customers. They buy 2 or 3 knives and they love them. They use them every day, but they throw them in the drawer. And when you throw them in the drawer, they clang around against one another and they end up doling out. And before you know it, they're just not what they could be. And my goal is for you to have the best experience with the product. And in order to do that, you need these 3 things. No matter what you pick to get, you gotta have these 3. You gotta have somewhere to store it. We have blocks and trays. You gotta have something to sharpen the straight edges with. Super easy, simple. Keep up like that little paring knife, which you use all the time. You wanna be able to touch it up real quick for the straight edges. The ones with the teeth, those things are gonna last you forever. Like, you don't have to sharpen them. I have customers that have had them 20 years and never sharpened them. But it's nice to have the sharpener to keep up the straight edges. And then the cutting board. And the cutting boards are something I've recently rediscovered and fallen in love with. I actually have 4 of them at home. I'm gonna show you some of the stuff I have in my kitchen if we have time. But the cutting boards are great because they're super soft, so they help keep the knife sharp. If your customers are cutting on glass, granite, bamboo, harder woods, it wrecks the knives. It really does. And they don't have the best experience. And my goal, no matter what the customer's buying, I want them to love it so that they continue to buy more from me. Most of my business, over 50%, comes from my customers reordering over time. And that's something that whether it's your first summer or your 5th summer, you can always be calling back your past customers for extra orders. Once they get their Cutco, their excitement is so high. Every time you do a demo, I guarantee there's 2 or 3 things that that customer liked but didn't buy. And whether it's a month later or 5 months later when they're done with their payments, you should be touching base with those customers and selling more to them. And that's something I did during my first summer, calling my customers for my first week in May and June. And I've continued to do throughout my career. And it has consistently been over half of my sales to my previous customers. And that's a big part of it is because I make sure that they have somewhere to store the knives, somewhere to sharpen the straight edge knives, and somewhere good to use the knives on. The cutting boards are excellent. They're dishwasher safe. They're easy to use, and they keep the knives really sharp. Hot button items. This is the 3rd key to selling sets. I'm not going to go through each of these knives and how to sell them because that's your responsibility to learn. But understand that people will buy the sets not because of all the tools that come in them, but because of 1 or 2. And finding those hot button tools in each of the sets for your customers, really, really big. With the signature set, it's usually the cheese knife and the scissors. Those are the big ones. Barbecue people love the hardy slicer. And so you want to get them really excited about at least 1 or 2 of the tools in that set. The cheese knife, a great thing is it's amazing on potatoes. Some people never think about it, but the cheese knife is one of our #1 selling tools. I sell it like crazy. I have 4 of them in my kitchen, okay? And I use them all the time. They're amazing. And I share that type of story with my customers. Hey, I have 4 of these. I use them all the time. They're amazing for tomatoes, potatoes, veggies, onions, peppers, and potatoes. If you do French fries, hash browns, sweet potato fries, like this is a must-have tool. It's excellent. So get really good at your names and uses. I know I kind of put down the names and uses earlier because it's really not the most important thing, but it does make a big difference over time with your customers knowing all of them. I don't share every name and use for every piece every time, but I have all that in my tool chest, right? I have that all in my back pocket. So I know what to pull out for which customers, what to really focus on for that customer based on the rapport, the conversations, and the questions. With the complete set, the 4-inch paring knife is a great tool, the boning knife, the salmon knife, the cleaver. They only need to connect with 1 or 2 of these tools to get them excited enough to buy the bigger set. But if you don't even know what comes in the complete set, how do you expect to sell it? A big part of what I want you to take from this message is you can invest some time in learning your product, learning your market, reading your manual, getting through those names and uses, read the reviews on the website, check out videos on YouTube. You should know everything about every product that you sell. And this is something you can constantly be learning. When I was new, one of the things, I was a great student. Once I decided that this was something I wanted to do after a few weeks on the job, I geeked out. All right. Every day I was learning something new about the product. I was practicing my presentation in the mirror. I was reading through my manual and getting it down. So that, because I knew I have to have these tools down so I know how to work with them better, how to grow, how to build on them. And if you haven't invested the time to learn the tools in the set, you're never going to sell that set. You don't necessarily need to share how every tool works in every set every time, but knowing that information and being able to pull it out when the moment's right is really big. So I encourage you, one of the biggest gains you can have is just learn your tools. Learn the tools in the set. It'll help you sell a lot more. So connect with your customers. Make sure they connect with the company. Identify a problem. Really focus on that pain point. Create a solution, and the solution being Cutco. Create a specific need for the set. Rewatch and learn and grow. Compare prices, which we're not going to cover today, and close. Those are the keys. Learning how to weave them, work in and out, and understanding which customers need what, and not being afraid to go back. I remember my first signature set, it was after an SLDM. Jeff had just taught how to sell the signature set. I was super excited. I did a demo at like 9:30 at night with one of those extended family members that you've met once or twice but don't really know. Super awkward when I first got to the house because I had seen them like 3 times as a child and hadn't seen them since. And they were big cooks. They loved to cook. The husband used to work at a steel factory, and the wife worked in some sort of communication. And it was an interesting appointment because obviously the rapport was there. They were family. That box was checked, right? They had crappy knives and they knew it. They'd been thinking about buying new knives. That box was checked. They trusted me, but they didn't trust the company. They were very skeptical people. And I went through the credibility part of my manual and I showed them the company page. And I went through the whole demo and I closed. And the objection that I got was we just need to think about it. We don't make any decisions without really doing our research and finding out. I'm a nerd. I'm going to research it. And Jeff, I don't know if you remember this story, but I remembered what you had said about doing the research with the customer. So I got online. I'm like, what kind of research do you usually do? Because I'm new. I don't know everything about Cutco, but let's find out together. And when we went online, we looked up Wusthof. We looked up Henkel's. We probably spent an hour and a half on the computer learning. And I learned more about Cutco from that customer and that experience than any talk that I had heard at that point. And after spending about an hour with them, I was able to check the credibility box. And it took a little extra effort, but they bought my first signature set, my first $1,000 order. It was right after the SLDM. I ended up doing that lunch with Jeff. It was really pretty spectacular. And it was because I was persistent and I started at that point, I was understanding this concept of checking those boxes, right? So let's go into a little bit of bonus here. And this is some little extra goodies, all right? Use your Cutco and sell duplicates to your customers. And when I say, I've said this pretty much in every talk and I feel like nobody does it. So I wanted to come up with a creative way to really push this and show you guys what I mean. So here's a little video I made for some of my clients using the Cutco product, making a deep fried peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So I got my whisk there, I got my serving tools, my spatula spreader, and I deep fried this peanut butter and jelly. This is one of those quarantine specials. It was delicious. And I was really proud of it. And I've shared this with a ton of different customers. I deep fried it in my skillet. It was an excellent dish. So when I say I use my Cutco, I mean, I use my Cutco all the time, and you should too. Here's what I have in my kitchen. I have an ultimate and a signature set. And the signature set has a bunch of Santoku and specialty knives that don't come in the ultimate set. I also have extra cutting boards because I do dishwash some of my stuff. Hand wash the knives, although they are dishwasher safe, but I dishwash all the table knives, all the accessories, all the tools. And what I find is they're always in the freaking dishwasher when you need them. So I just started getting extras. I have 3 spatulas because I use them for eggs in the morning all the time. I use the spatulas like crazy. I love the little bacon serve. I use that as a spatula as well. The turn and serve, it's a great tool. I have 2 basting spoons, 2 slotted basting spoons, 2 peelers, a can opener, the sharpener. I have a lot of table knives and some steak knives as well. So I use my product. And by the way, I have a lot of customers that own 2 or in some cases 3 sets. And a part of the reason I can sell that is because I have it at home and I understand the value of just having fun with the knives and using them outside in the barbecue, having a set you can move around. One of the jokes I make with my customers, but really connects with, like, Mr. Jones, you need a second block. You don't want to walk all the way across the kitchen just to grab a knife when you're on the other side. So you put 1 set of knives on each side of the kitchen. It's awesome. And they laugh, but then they buy the second set. And I probably have about, not every customer, but 15, 20 clients that have either 2 ultimate blocks or an ultimate and a signature block or an ultimate and a homemaker block with the extra tools. We're not going to talk about how to sell that, but understand that people buy doubles all the time. And the only reason I started to sell it is because I started doing it myself. I started using it at home and realizing, like, my freaking spatula is always in the dishwasher. So I got a second one, and then I got a third one. Same thing with my basting spoon and serving tools. Now, I don't sell a lot of wellness mats, although you'd think I would. The CPO is just not great on them, but this house is full of Cutco. This is the wellness mat in the front door. This is the outdoor kitchen. I got 2 wellness mats there. In the kitchen, we have 3, a 6-foot and 2 3-foots. We used to have an extra 6-foot, but then I moved that one by my bed, and it's awesome. All right, when you get up, you stand in luxury right away. I freaking love it. There's one in the bathroom. I also have one in front of the couch, which is crazy, but it just looks great. I love the mats. And then the cookware. I also have multiples of the cookware. I have 2 skillets, which I use regularly all the time. I have extra fry pans, extra saucepans, and I use this stuff. And I'm just cooking for me. Sometimes I cook for me and Andy, my roommate, but that's about it. And I still use all the products all the time. I have the silverware, the flatware, with all of the goodies in there as well, with the serving tools. And that makes a big difference. So that's what I have for you guys today. I hope you learned some good stuff from it. Oh, wait, there is one more thing. I figured I'd give you guys a little sample of how this can work outside of the Cutco setting. I wanted to show you how I sell. I wanted to go through the sales process with you one more time. And what better to sell than an organization I'm really proud of and really involved with, and that's Angel Wings. I know Jeff shared a little bit about it earlier, but I wanted to raffle off a special piece and really show you how this works. So I know that everybody wants a super killer, awesome, unreal experience and exclusive piece of Cutco. And so we have that for you today. All right. We have something very special that we're going to be giving away. This is, we're going to be raffling off based on donations for Angel Wings. 1 of 20. This is only 1 of 20 ever made, but it's an Angel Wings spatula spreader. All right, and that's a spatula spreader with the Angel Wings logo on it. These are great to have to show to customers, but also to be a part of Angel Wings International. And it looks sexy. There were only 20 made. They were donated by the company. We have it in classic and pearl, so the winner of this raffle gets their choice of classic or pearl. And I started getting involved in Angel Wings in 2016. I've had a lot of fun with them over the years. I've learned a lot, and I've been to Haiti multiple times. For those of you that don't know, we built a medical clinic in Haiti. And I've gotten to meet all sorts of kids. There's an orphanage right next door that we work very closely with. Those are some of the happiest kids you'll ever meet. You'd never know it. But it's pretty incredible what we've done. This is the clinic. This is when we were redoing the bottom here. And recently we had a really cool experience where as one of the doctors was coming into work, there was a woman outside who had just had a baby on the side of the road. Right now in Haiti, things are kind of crazy. There's not enough personal protective gear, and the hospitals are literally turning people away. We actually wanted to close our doors because of COVID, but the demand was just too high, and we had to stay open to help serve the community. So we found this woman passed out on the floor with her baby. She had just had the baby, the umbilical cord was still there, and they brought her into the clinic. They were able to save her life and save the baby. And when it rains, it pours. Somebody saw us carrying that baby in, and about 20 minutes later, a pregnant woman about to pop came into the clinic as well. We're not particularly equipped for that. It's one of the goals in the near future to be able to have an OBGYN, but we don't have that set up yet. But this woman came in, and we were able to deliver the baby. And she was so happy because the other hospital had turned her down that she decided to name the baby Angel in honor of Angel Wings. A pretty powerful story of what we've done there. We have a medical staff of 7 doctors, 18 total on staff right now. And it's just a pretty incredible organization. So our goal with this little fundraiser for the spatula spreader is to raise $1,000. I think we can do it. I'm not too concerned. I think I should have set the goal higher. Always got to have high goals. But we want to use that money to more protective gear because we're running through our inventory, we're running through medications, we're running through our gear really quickly right now with everything that's happening in the organization. And just so you know a little bit more, it started in 2007. Andy got involved in 2015 as the vice president, and we opened the doors to the clinic that we built in 2017. We see over 500 patients a week. We're open 6 days a week, so that's just under 100 patients a day that we see. We currently have over 1,800 active patients, and these are people that come back to us regularly for medications to help serve in all sorts of different ways. And we've made a huge impact in this society. Like, we really are loved. So there is a big need in Haiti right now, and when you go there, I mean, it'll change your perspective on life. It really will, in a big way. It certainly did for me. I've been 3 times now, and the need is great. This was our last trip. We actually set up a mobile clinic. We went about 3 hours away from where our clinic was, and we set up in a small town. The closest clinic is ours, and we're 3 hours away. These people were in desperate need, and the crowd, we saw 600 people in 2 days. That's how much the need was in this place. It was a madhouse. It was crazy. I think we pulled something ridiculous like 150 teeth with our dentist that was there. And we make a big impact with everything that we do. So Angel Wings has been great, and through our partnership with Cutco, we've been able to raise over $1.5 million to build this clinic and to keep it running and to pay our staff and to pay our doctors and keep them on staff year round. Now, I know that you probably haven't had the chance to go out and look at a bunch of high quality organizations before. Anything else, there's a huge variety of qualities and values available. You could go support the Clinton Foundation or the Red Cross, but the problem with a lot of those big organizations is you don't know where the money goes. With here, every dollar goes straight to the people, and we make sure of that. And so for this drawing, every $10 that you donate, we're gonna open it up on Venmo, very easy, AWI Venmo. You donate $10, you get 1 chance into the drawing for the beautiful spatula spreader with the Angel Wings logo on it. If you donate $20, 2 chances, $30, 3 chances, you get it. $10 equals an extra chance into the drawing for some Cutco. If you get to 50, then you double your chances. So $50 donation gives you 10 chances, 120 chances, and so on and so forth. And our goal is to raise $1,000. There's 300 of you on the call. If each of you donated less than 10 bucks, we'd hit this goal in no time. And of course, there's a first call special, okay? And so as a thank you for letting us promote here today, the #1 donor is gonna automatically win a spreader. So we're not giving away 1, but we're giving away 2 spreaders. #1 is usually over 100, sometimes 150, 200. We also have levels at 500 and 1,000 if you want to donate a brick. We do have payments for those bigger donations. If you want to donate over 500, we can split that up interest-free over 2, 3, or 5 easy payments. So this is going to be, we're always looking for support, and we'll take the donations anytime. But for the next 10 minutes, any donations that come in, every $10 that you donate, super simple on Venmo, just at AWI Haiti, send it over on Venmo. You can also go on the website, angelwingsinternational.org, and donate there. We are going to really make a difference with this, and I promise you every dollar will go there. So if you thought you learned some stuff that was worth 10 bucks today from this talk, I ask that you show that support Angel Wings with it. If you can give more, great. If you can give $1, it'll make the difference. It all adds up. So I appreciate your guys' time. Thanks for letting me share something that's passionate to me, and I hope you got some goods from this message.
Outstanding. Guys, I know we don't need to, but can we give some virtual round of applause here? Some snaps. I'm on some of the text groups, and I think we just broke WhatsApp. I think WhatsApp is broken right now. TaylorMax, you single-handedly have broken WhatsApp, my friend. Awesome. Thank you. I just posted the actual next level selling PDF. So everything that was on the screen today was just posted to your manager page, a couple of group office pages, and our both gunner groups for Florida Coast and Florida Caribbean. And I'll repost this. So again, feel free, not just a well worth it type of cause, but something that's near and dear to Florida Caribbean and Florida Coast here. So if you really appreciate the time today, show some love, not by paying TaylorMax, but let's support AWI. So let's do another round of applause. TaylorMax, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That was awesome. Outstanding.